CAIR-Florida is becoming a strong voice of justice for all people. The good work that we are doing to defend our faith and justice and human rights for all is just beginning. We must all remember that our enemies can never defeat us. We can only defeat ourselves if we allow fear and hate to turn us against each other. Let's work stronger for our love than they work for their hate.
I was actually praying one of my 5 daily prayers behind Chipotle one time. This man came up to me while I was praying, and he then went on to say that, oh, I killed many people like you overseas in Afghanistan, and I'll even kill you right now. I thought to myself, you know, this might be my last breath, this might be my last prayer.
We recently found out that we're actually being sued by one of the biggest Islamophobes in this country. But the reason she's targeting us ultimately is because they see how powerful, how strong, how effective we are in fighting Islamophobia and protecting the Muslim community. The last 4 years have been amongst the most challenging for our community, especially with the year 2020 coming up as another election year. Hate crimes spike during these election years, so we are bracing ourselves right now.
We use advocate in our acronym because it's a word that encompasses so much of what we do. We offer free legal services. We go out into the community and we teach people. We teach people outside of the community about what it means to be Muslim, and we create those bridges.
We're certainly living difficult times. Times are defining us as a nation.
Throughout the years, CAIR-Florida have been a voice not only to our community, but to speak on behalf of other communities that share our space. Not to be the voice of the community, but being a voice for the community. And I believe that that's what CAIR is.
We do find members of the community who are standing in front of almost, to them, insurmountable problems. And they come to us and we are able to help them sift through it and help be their voice.
Prevention by education carries there in the front lines, training and providing education to key players that interact with our community.
At CAIR-Florida, we believe that ignorance leads to misunderstanding, which leads to fear, which leads to hate, which ultimately leads to the acts of discrimination and violence. So we try to prevent that cycle from happening by investing in educational programs and trainings.
So I give trainings up at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, kind of like Islam 101 trainings, and they are more than appreciative for the knowledge, and they really want to absorb more and take steps to, you know, really be an ally and help out.
We don't want to act after the fact. Our mission is to make sure that it doesn't happen. We like to be proactive instead of reactive.
CAIR provides protection. We have people who come in here every day and need protection. Sometimes it's protection from something you and I take for granted.
We offer protection to our community by making sure that they know their rights and ensure that they are not victims.
We protect the community by really giving them the tools that they need to protect themselves. If they know what to do because they've been through the Know Your Rights series, they're going to be so much better prepared to protect themselves and for them to call us to come in and advocate for them.
When you educate the community, you indeed empower them.
For somebody to speak so confidently on issues that are completely unconstitutional is very frightening. America is at its strongest, and it will always be at its peak when we stand together united.
Imagine the difference it does and it makes for a person when you teach them their rights at a very basic level.
One way we educate the Muslim communities in Florida is by providing what are called Know Your Rights talks, or KYRs, where we visit mosques and schools and we inform and educate the public as to what their rights are.
So I work with CAIR for 5 main reasons: to advocate, to protect and prevent, to empower, and to represent. And like our brother Malcolm X said, you know, these 5 fingers, they're weak when they stand alone, but when you ball them all together, you deliver a mighty blow. And together, when we assist our community in recognizing their potential with these 5 things, then we have empowered them to stand against injustice and help us in our cause.
Taking the word activate itself, think of all of these things that we've talked about now as kind of a chain reaction. So when you advocate and you empower, you also allow people to activate.
Actions of the government, political decisions directly affect our communities. And so as an organization that's directly serving the communities, we also have to activate our community to get involved.
Muslims need to be at the table. They need to be able to express their opinions. We believe it is truly important that as American citizens who are eligible to vote, you have to use that.
When it's time to vote, know that your vote is powerful, it is significant. Don't go out by yourself, take a car full of people and vote. And you'll see, if we do that, I promise you, if we do that, you will see the tides shifting in a more favorable way for America as a whole.
We represent people. We are out there in courtrooms in this state. We are out there getting consent decrees. We are out there defending people who are unjustly persecuted. We are involved on a daily basis representing people literally as lawyers coming from CAIR.
During Ramadan, we go to a lot of mosques, and when we go there, the community has this sense that CAIR is here. We are safe. People come to you with all sorts of problems. This is part of their representation, that what we are doing, we're representing them as Americans first of all, and as Muslims.
And so when we represent the community, we do that in various media forms, when we do presentations and lectures, and we're really kind of showcasing how amazing the community is, especially when that community is engaged and part of the society.
When you hear about a particular case being filed or a particular action being taken in a community or some change in the government, those things don't just happen. They happen because of influence, because of involvement, the kind of involvement CAIR provides.
As a non-profit organization, CAIR, we depend on the generosity of our community.
Your donations go directly to funding this talented team that is willing to do the advocacy piece.
Every single cent that we get goes back to the community.
They're willing to write those letters to elected officials. They're willing to have those meetings on your behalf.
The individual cases, to me, matter so much more. The person we keeps their job because we stepped in and taught their employer that they're not terrorists. The kid who gets to go to school for the first time and not be called Osama bin Laden. The big stories, they catch somebody's attention. These individual small cases that never make the media, I think is why we do what we do.
I've been waiting 15 years for this victory. For 15 years, been harassed and targeted by the government, even though I've done nothing wrong, treated like a second-class citizen, stigmatized, profiled, harassed, treated like a criminal. You have little children, 3 years old, 4 years old, sometimes a few months old, whose names appear on these lists, whose families get stopped for hours while they travel. It just, the biggest error is the fact that it targets indiscriminately Americans based on their religion, predominantly American Muslims. In fact, today's victory is not just a victory for the Muslim community, it's actually a victory for all Americans. It's a victory for the US Constitution. It's a victory for protecting liberty. The vast majority of our clients are not in a position to pay for the tremendous legal work that we provide them, and that's why we rely on the generosity of all of our donors. So every dollar that is invested into CAIR, it is stretched 100-fold. When there are people in need, when there is a challenge facing our community, when there's a threat to civil rights, you can count on the CAIR-Florida to appear on behalf of the community and to fight zealously to ensure that justice is served, to push back against hate, to promote tolerance, appreciation, and understanding and respect for all. Thank you for making our work possible.